So this is the second day of Holy Week. And I'm here in our church's lobby because this is where we find Jesus teaching in the outer courts of the temple. And he gets into a conversation along the way with some of the Pharisees and Sadducees, some of the synagogue leaders. And he starts to say things like, "You guys are like dirty cups. You've cleaned the outside, but the part where you're supposed to drink from is filthy." And he goes on to say, "You guys are like whitewashed tombs. You know, you've spent a lot of time painting the outside and making it all look pretty, putting on the show, but on the inside you're dead." And he uses a term a few times in this section, hypocrites, which is Greek for actors. They're putting on a play. And essentially is saying, this isn't what I called you to. After this, he and the disciples head up to the Mount of Olives, and Jesus delivers what scholars call the Olivetian Discourse. And it has a lot to do with what's going to happen in the end time. But in the end of his discussion with them, he says, no one really knows when the time is going to be. I don't even know. No one really knows what it's going to look like exactly. But then he comes to this story about sheep and goats. And it's really a story that is told earlier in Scripture in Ezekiel chapter 34. And I like it in Ezekiel because it talks about sheep and fat sheep. Jesus is saying at the end, there's going to be two sides to this thing. There's going to be some sheep who have remained faithful, and there's going to be some fat sheep, some goats, who tried to act like the sheep, but they forgot important things. In the midst of telling them that they were whitewashed and they were dirty cups, Jesus said, I'm glad you remembered to tithe, but you forgot the important things, like justice, mercy, charity. See, some of the sheep have taken advantage of some of the other sheep. They've butted them around. They've tried to build up their own comforts. They've tried to build up their own pride, and they've become fattened sheep. We're coming to the end of Lent here, and really the whole purpose of Lent is to remember who we were meant to be, who Christ has called us to. In this section, God is telling the Pharisees, this is never what I meant for you. I called you to be a blessing to others. I've blessed you so that you can be charitable and show mercy and love and justice. And you're forgetting these things. And you're becoming like fattened sheep amongst the herd. Who are you today? Do you remember what God has called you to? God has given you gifts and abilities, not so that you can hoard them, but so that you can share them with others, so that you can show mercy, so that you can show love. I want you to search your heart in this time. Allow God to take a look and see those areas where maybe we're becoming fatted sheep. And let's surrender those areas so that we can be faithful to the call that He has called us to bless the world.